is there anything that you wish that they knew about you that they don't know about you?
Yeah, well, I actually bear most. I bear all on radio now. But I think like it's actually quite funny because Jordan, who I do the show with now, like we used to hate each other's guts.
Oh, really?
We just had a bit of a falling out, bloody social media. But when we got to know each other, he said something to me and he was like, "You're very misunderstood. Once I got to know you, I get you now." And I think a lot of people from face value probably don't really know the real Nixon. But if I get the opportunity to talk about it, then obviously you get a little bit more. But I think that's the main consensus. Like even my wife, she's like, "You're very misunderstood. Very misunderstood."
Really?
I come across like
How
as quite
so?
mischievous and cheeky and
what were people not getting?
well, people. I think what we talked about before, like I come across like very relaxed but there's actually a plan behind everything that I do. I present myself in a certain way. I can be, relaxed, but at the same time, like my brain's ticking. I've got extreme ADHD, so I take tablets for that, which again, I probably don't talk about enough. And I know that a lot of people go through that struggle. And so the ADHD stuff really gets me going and my brain's always ticking away. So that's one thing that people don't understand, and that's probably the reason for some of my actions sometimes, and the reason probably why I can do like 100 things at once. But there's that. I think that's the main thing, is that people sometimes just don't get me because of the way that maybe I hold myself or present myself, or they think there's like an agenda to it. It's actually no agenda. The only agenda is basically like for me to do the best that I can do and then go home. Yeah.
How does your ADHD affect how you conduct yourself?
It became a real strain on my family, on my marriage actually, until I actually sorted it out, because I kind of always knew that I had it, but I didn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And so my whole childhood, I could never watch a full movie.
Yeah.
So I'd never watched a full movie in my whole life. And then things just started to frustrate me a little bit because things weren't happening like certain ways that I wanted it to happen, or like I would do one thing and I wouldn't listen to like my wife as she's talking to me. I'd always be like walking out the doors like she's talking because I'm doing something else. And your day to day that can actually tire you out and frustrate you. And I think I got a bit of a burnout, so I had to go to the doctor. Now I take Ritalin, and now I've watched a full movie, and it's just given me more peace about focusing on things that are important, prioritizing things, and making me focus a little bit more. But yeah.
Is it hard to come to terms with that?
It's hard because I think the stigma when you're a Polynesian is that stuff doesn't really exist.
Oh, okay.
That's very deep, but I honestly think that's real. And I think those walls are coming down, thanks to people like Mike King and, actually talking about mental health, because it is mental health having ADHD. But yeah. I think that those sort of things, our community don't talk about enough.
Oh, same, right?
Yeah. And like I remember like back in the day, if you said that you were depressed, you were just an attention seeker.
Or you were like a pussy.
Yeah, exactly. Harden up. So I think, that sort of stuff got me at first because, or if you grew up in like a very religious household, they would just be like, just pray about it. And then
come out.
Yeah, come out, come out, demons. But I think going and sitting in a with a psychiatrist and talking through it was a new experience of learning more about yourself. And, again, I wanted to be the best version of me. So if this was going to help me be the best version of me, then, I'll suck it up. I lied to my wife a couple of times. I said that I went to my sessions and I never did, but because I was like still a bit nervous. But once I came to terms with it and started doing it, I think it's the best decision I ever made.
How long do you see a psychiatrist for?
You have to go for quite a bit. I think I had to go in 8 times until they actually, diagnose you properly.
Yeah.
I think that they want to get it right, obviously, if they're giving you medication. But I went about 8 times, and I learned a lot. I can't encourage,
because there's also a stigma around going out to see a psychiatrist, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I think if you have a medical condition, then absolutely. But also you need somebody to talk to about this stuff. If you can't talk to other people, and
And like
It's
what
kind of
you-
like a mental performance coach.
Yeah, oh, exactly. And like what you were saying before as well, is that, you know, like when you, or what I was saying to you before is that, you know, when you're trying to tell people how to live, but you've never lived that life.
Yeah.
And then you think to yourself, man, like, my life's not that hard. Like, people are going through worse. You kind of just reserve your thoughts or your progression into those, you know, therapy sessions. And I didn't want to sit in front of a therapist that wasn't an islander, didn't grow up, you know, the way that I grew up. And it's like, what can you tell me? Like, you're going to tell me how to live your life, and that might not suit me. So I think those were my reservations. And I think a lot of people go through that. It's like, what is this Palangi going to tell me about the way that I grew up? You know, and I think, you know, once I let go of that and started to listen, it was less about how to live, but just giving you tools to help your own situation out. And that became like a godsend for me.
Man, that's so cool. It's thank you for sharing that.
Oh, no worries.
First
I've never shared that before.
Bro, that's
I've
amazing.
never shared that. Yeah, so yeah, like I said, you got me in a very vulnerable state.
That was real quick too.
I was like, wow, okay, whoa, okay. Yeah.
But it is that stigma.
Yeah.
Like, and it's fantastic that, you know, Mike is doing the job that he's doing, and Sir John Curran and all those people that are
Yeah.
out there championing mental health and our mental well-being. But like with anything, the rubber doesn't hit the road till people like you start talking more about it and
Yeah.
and doing more about it.
But I think that's also opened up as well, because obviously I have a very, very supportive wife, but also, like, I saw, you know, Tegan go through her stuff. I've seen, you know, Jordan go through his. I've seen so many people around that have struggled with it. And I'm like, nah, like, it's one, we have to accept that it's a real thing. And I think more people now have accepted that it's a real thing. And making sure that we lean on these people that can actually help, who are actually there to help.